All right, let's move on to look at a compilation that I've come up with over the morning of COVID gaslighting. Just as a precursor, I'm going to be mentioning some stuff in this that may or may not be appropriate for YouTube. So just a little disclaimer, just in case going forwards, there may be a cutoff point on this video on YouTube if they decide that it's a bit too spicy for them.
I'm going to go in with my scissors and
get your scissors out, cut it all up. Yeah. So to start off with, we've got this thing from everybody knows obviously the Omicron variant is supposedly rapidly spreading throughout the UK, although there has been some somewhat divergent figures given for that. For instance, I think the other day, was it Sajid Javid gave the 200,000 new cases per day, and then half an hour later walked it back immediately because they were like, okay, that was just projections, guys. All right, we don't actually have any official figures.
He said it would double every day as well, which if you ran those numbers by New Year, we would have 21 billion cases. So
impressive.
We're all going to get COVID 300 times, which not bad.
Fair play. You got to spread that wealth there. So the Politics for All have posted this the other day. An MP has said that they may have had Omicron last week. Cold symptoms, aches and pains for a few days. They didn't realise the virus symptoms had changed. They didn't get tested and they came to Parliament. Now I'm just going to say, obviously, just to be safe, if you get COVID, it can cause complications if you've got other health issues, and even if you are healthy, it could cause issues that can be dangerous to you. However, if you can get it and not realise that you've even got it and just be like, oh, I just felt like I had a cold and aches and pains, doesn't sound that dangerous to me.
That's not why anyone was ever concerned about the virus. The concern was, will you fill up the hospital beds, and therefore will you cause excess deaths?
Yeah. But he came into Parliament, so it's obviously not restricted him from being able to go about his day-to-day life, if that is what he had.
No, but remember that everyone in Parliament who voted for all these measures are all so scared. Well, okay, that all of you need to start isolating from now on, because you've been in contact with this man.
Yeah, but you're not going to, are you?
No.
And if we move along, we've got this. This is where the gaslighting truly begins, which is Boris Johnson ended his recent Downing Street press conference with, I follow the rules. Everybody across politics should follow the rules. Is that why you definitely don't know about that party that allegedly took place at your flat?
So 9.
Yeah, or
10.
9. Well, I'm speaking more specifically about the one at his flat, because it's like, how do you not know that something's going on in your own home? Was Carrie just super sneaky about it?
But also all the other ones where he's
keep the noise down, guys.
He's with his team at like CCHQ drinking, being like, hello lads, I'm following the rules.
Yeah, the fact that all of this can come out and then he can just spout what are obviously bold-faced lies to the nation. And if you go down, you can just see people like Konstantin Kisin just like mocking him, just like, haha, wait, you're serious? Okay. And then if we move along, you can see that the media, as always, is completely complicit in all of this because they support the lockdown. So apparently, according to this article from The Independent, a majority of people in the UK support a 2-week lockdown to combat Omicron in December, which is what a recent poll has found. The majority, yeah, basically. No, I agree, but let's carry on. The majority of UK adults support the idea of a 2-week national lockdown starting in December to combat Omicron, new polling shows. Some 51%, surprise is not 71, but okay, but back the idea of lockdown over Christmas to halt the COVID variant's rapid spread across the country, according to the latest Savanta Comrades survey. Survey, probably. 1/3 of adults, 32%, remain opposed to a new lockdown, rising to almost 2 in 5 Conservative voters, 38%, although almost half of Tory backers do support the idea, 48%, once again proving that the Tories are now socialists.
No, I just don't believe any of this polling.
Oh yeah, neither do I, but still. Downing Street insisted on Wednesday that Boris Johnson has no plans to go beyond current Plan B measures and impose tougher curbs. X to doubt. Despite warnings from health chiefs that the NHS could soon be overwhelmed by Omicron hospitalisations, which, if you've seen anything that people like John have been posting recently, has been something that the NHS have worried about every single Christmas, going back as far as anyone can remember. Just look up the headlines from like The Guardian and The Independent from years before COVID, and every single Christmas it's like, will the NHS take it? Will we be able to survive? And we always have. But yes, pollsters at Savanta Comrades said the Prime Minister would appear to have the public on his side if he did bring up in further restrictions, which is why this does seem like, as you would imagine, something I don't believe. It seems like very controlled information being put through the press so the government can point to something if, or probably when, Yep, I've got more on that in a second, John. If or when they do decide to bring in new restrictions, probably within a week or so. Although no firm proposals for Plan C have yet been circulated to cabinet ministers, government officials are reportedly considering contingency plans for further restriction. And there you go. The media is actively, seemingly supporting this for the most part, as far as I can tell as well, especially when they're coming out with this sort of information. If we move along, I looked at the Savanta Comres poll, and they were talking about other stuff as well as a 2-week lockdown. They were talking about specific restrictions tested, closing of nightclubs got 63% support, stopping large crowds at sporting and entertainment events.
To be honest, I'd probably vote for that just because I hate nightclubs.
That's fair, but you've got to let other people go to. It can't be a spoil sport for everyone.
I'm joking, of course.
Yeah, stopping large crowds at sporting and entertainment events apparently got 64% in support, have the highest levels of support with just 1 in 5 opposing each, 20% and 22% respectively. Other restrictions tested, such as the closing of pubs and restaurants, 44% support, no indoor mixing of different households, 44% support, only allowing people to leave their home for essential shopping, exercise and work, 47% support, and the rule of 6 indoors, 55% report, all had high levels of support. So, that would be worrying to me that the general public feels that way. It would make me think that everybody is like those bots you see on Politics for All posts whenever they mention anything to do with it, where it's, no, actually, it should be a 2-month lockdown, I'll have you know. But the polls that this is taken from, as John pointed out to us a second ago, was done with 1,004 people online. And if you do one of these polls, you have to sign up to do them yourself. So like YouGov, it's a self-selecting poll.
But also, I don't believe it at this point, even then.
Yeah.
It's so is unreflective of what you can see just in the streets of people being like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know. But this organisation as well, I can believe it with the audience that this place will attract, because Comres Global, I looked around their website, they have loads of stuff about BLM and lots of intersectional stuff. Yeah. So the self-selection is even more biased in one particular direction, who, let's just say, will be more than likely to support further government control and restriction. If we move along, we can see more media complicity, where the Telegraph talking about records will be broken repeatedly as Omicron surges, Chris Whitty warns, because I care about what Chris Whitty has to say. Expect quite... if you scroll down, you can see they've got some notes here, the little bullet points. Expect staggering growth of Omicron, UK HSA chief says. France puts over 65s without COVID booster vaccines back in de facto lockdown. So France has just gone full-on tyranny, by the sounds of it there.
None of this matters. I keep reminding people, because it gets lost in the conversation. The whole argument was not even that people may die of the virus. It was never that argument for any of these restrictions. It was the NHS may become overwhelmed and have excess deaths. Yes. And if that's the case...
It is good to be reminded of that, especially when...
It's not about getting the virus. That was never a concern for restrictions. Nor was it about people dying.
Yes, especially when on Sunday, in his address to the nation, Boris Johnson said that in administering the booster shots, all other appointments will be postponed, which means...
Those are excess deaths.
Yes, those are excess deaths. If you have cancer and don't know and need to get checked up, and then it has to be pushed back. If you have any other condition not related to COVID, you will be postponed, and you could be affected by that very, very negatively, sad as that is. So it's like you say, it's not about protecting people. I would say it's about the control. Absolutely. The Omicron symptoms, it points out, are back pain and a scratchy throat. Now, people watching may not get this perspective right, but I am quite tall. I have pretty consistent back pain as a result of that. Does that mean you need to scoot a little bit further away from me?
No, I actually feel lucky for being shorter now.
Oh, there you go.
I don't get the back pain. So.
Oh, do you not? Lucky bastard. Anyway.
Chad.
Chad Manley, yes. London Omicron cases are increasing rapidly. Politics latest. Boris Johnson, too weak to lead, claims Sir Keir Starmer. Because, as we all know, sadly... Labour have been going up in the polls recently in terms of the public's perception of them compared to the Conservatives, and I don't understand why. I mean, we've got some information on why in a moment, but if we just go back, because Keir Starmer, all of his proposals so far have been, I would do exactly what you're doing, Mr. Johnson, but more, and that's it. It's like that doesn't inspire much hope in me for people who might be wanting to get Labour in later. But yes, if we move along as well, and also as well, just too weak to lead from Starmer, the man who's demonstrated a lack of backbone
Yeah.
I would very much doubt it. But yeah, it carries on. The chief medical officer for England said that the Britons need to be realistic and that records will be broken a lot in the next few weeks as rates continue to grow. It looks as if Delta, which has been with us for a while, is still flat, and the growth is Omicron, he said. So we've got two epidemics, one on top of the other. An existing Delta epidemic, roughly flat, which, as far as I can tell, didn't really amount to anything. I mean, okay. And a very rapidly growing Omicron epidemic on top of it. But so we've got Delta, which supposedly is more dangerous than the original virus. And then we've got Omicron, which experts say is 29% less dangerous than the original virus. So surely Omicron coming out more is going to be a good thing, relatively speaking. But obviously, he doesn't really care about that. But yes, if we want to move on, we can see a reason for Labour's rising polls. It's nothing to do with people actually liking Labour. If we go down, just so we can see this graph, John, it's the fact that people just don't care about the Conservatives anymore. Like you can see.
I love this. So for people listening, the chart is, where is Boris Johnson's base going? So 60% of Johnson's base are still saying, yeah, okay, I support the Conservatives. 23.9% are just apathetic. And that's the largest amount of people disappearing from the party, with 8% going to Labour, 7% to Reform UK. So, I mean, 24% essentially, I just don't care, because they're just messing stuff up.
Yeah, this has just led to mass cynicism.
So this is why Labour goes up in the polls, is not because there is a movement to them of mass voters, it is because of a
exodus
of voters.
Yeah, away from the Conservatives.
Well, just from anyone. Just apathy.
I mean, I don't particularly blame these people. The problem is, if it does give Labour a lead, Labour are just going to do everything that the Conservatives are doing, just harder.
But if the Conservatives win, the Conservatives will just do everything the Conservatives are doing.
Yeah, I mean, we're trapped.
We don't have a second party, and we need one.
Yeah, I mean, there is Reform.
You see Reform. I mean,
those 24% apathetic just go to Reform.
Essentially, yeah, if you're looking for one. I mean, there are many good ones, as I mentioned, but that is the problem. There are many, and we would need a unification, quite frankly.
Yes.
But otherwise, Reform, go for it. Why not?
But if we move along, you can see here people have been pointing out other examples of media gaslighting. Go down. You can see here Wales Online. There have been huge queues with reports of people waiting up to 5 hours in England. For those not watching, it's an image of a very bright, leafy, green summer day with a massive queue of people queuing up to something that we can't really see. So, sure. And they're all wearing shorts as well, in the dead of winter. I don't believe it personally. People pointing out that this is obviously just a lie, or, well, lie by omission, or misleading image, you could say.
16th of December.
Yeah, everybody out on a beautiful green sunny day in their shorts in English winter. Yeah, I don't believe that. Sorry. If we move along, there's been something else that people may have seen on Twitter. Recently, Joe Rogan did an interview with a Dr. Peter McCullough. I've not watched it in full. I've seen a few clips from it. Obviously, they go into some spicy topics relating to the COVID pandemic and the lockdown measures and the vaccines. I can't really talk about any of that. I will say some of it does come across a little conspiratorial from what I've seen.
I thought he came off like a quack. But either way, he should be able to have these conversations.
Yeah, you should be able to have these conversations. But people are pointing out, this guy here, Momar, says it may be the best cited and best researched, most cerebral 3 hours of COVID information anyone in the world has ever heard from someone who has actually studied and treated patients, and YouTube took it down. Unsurprising. And
is it still up on Spotify, I wonder?
I've not checked, actually.
Ooh.
So check it out there if it is. Move along.
But also we disavow, because we have to.
Yes, because we have to. Misinform Mike pointing out it's not just the YouTube video that's been taken down. If you share clips from the episode of the podcast on Twitter, like like Melissa Tate did, Twitter will just suspend you. Fantastic. Move along again. We can also see here there are people within the mainstream talking about this, and I've got this clip to show, just to show the level of cerebral conversation going on in the mainstream about this interview. If you want to play this clip, John.
And he is, I don't know this guy very well, so I just looked up his Wikipedia page, and he apparently, has said things that are not true, like a lot. Like,
right.
he was saying hydroxychloroquine works. We know it does.
And here's a warning to people. Here's a warning to people. Anytime somebody tells you how many citations there are in something,
Yeah, that is a red flag. That is a
run very
well,
far
I
away.
agree completely. Yeah, that's a.
But I don't know if
thing.
we should. I don't know if we should be trusting necessarily Wikipedia when they label people misinformation. So I don't think that's fair. I think they've been labeling a lot of people who've been giving actual true information as misinformation.
I think
Big Tech has been doing
Wikipedia does that. I agree with you about like Twitter, and Wikipedia is generally pretty accurate.
Full NPC attitude
Who is
right
this
there.
dude?
One, his voice sounds like evil alternate Ben Shapiro.
Oh, God.
Alternate universe Ben Shapiro is here to blue pill you.
Yeah, sorry, that accent. It's pretty... kill yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, good on that woman for pushing back, but this guy just went, I looked at the first paragraph on Wikipedia, it says he's a liar, so I won't listen to anything he says.
I'm joking about killing yourself, by the way, obviously. But still, it's just, what the hell is wrong with you? When you're just like, I looked at the Wikipedia list, and that's my job.
Yep.
I take
Journalism achieved.
I take my job very seriously. I looked at Wikipedia and just went, yeah, that'll do. I'm not even going to look up... Because the thing is, because if you want to know if someone's a quack, just watch what they say. And it's usually pretty evident. I mean, this is why I watched the guy and I wasn't impressed with him. But fine, other people want to listen to him.
Yeah.
That's their prerogative. What's it going to do with me?
It's his right to talk about what he has observed.
But in the weird thing I find as well with the annexation of YouTube and all the rest of them, I won't get into it too much, saying that we're going to police what's true. It's like... They also, what was it, a while back, said they weren't going to allow conspiracy theory videos on YouTube anymore. It's like, sorry, I can't even just make up nonsense about 9/11 anymore for fun. That's not allowed anymore.
That's my weekend ruined.
That's my hobby. Anyway, but, I presume that you can still find conspiracy theories about all sorts of nonsense, but this one just, it's off limits because may cause harm. And it's like, okay, prove
Well,
that.
who's going to determine what may or may not cause harm?
We have this problem in government, anyway.
Yeah, but then other people have noticed that Twitter's been updating their misleading information policy when it comes to COVID-19. So this is something that you may want to watch out for. Pointing out that here, they've got it highlighted on the image, false or misleading claims that people who have received the vaccine can spread or shed the virus, symptoms or immunity to unvaccinated people, despite the fact that's exactly what people like Boris have been saying the whole time is one of the things. But then if you move along, you can see that 10 minutes after they took that screenshot, they immediately edited it to say false or misleading claims that people who have received the vaccine can spread or shed the vaccine or symptoms or immunity to unvaccinated people. Now, I don't know what that means.
I'm going to spread the vaccine.
I'm going to take the vaccine. Now let me sneeze my vaccine onto you. Achoo!
What? Did someone have a stroke? I
know, it's really weird.
Sorry.
I don't know where the origin of this is, but I can only assume that they changed it very hastily. Very, very hastily.
You're vaccinated, aren't you?
No?
Oh, I was going to say stay away from me. You could spread it or something.
I don't want your immunity. No,
I also love the chat. It was just like, that guy who was just like, I read the Wikipedia article. We shouldn't call him a journo. We should call him a Wikipedia reader.
Oh, yeah. He's a Wikipedia Andy or something, isn't it?
Just one of the readers on Wikipedia. That's all he is.
And if we move along, people, I think it may be because of the fact that Twitter realised in their new misleading policy they might have to ban people like Boris Johnson for saying this clip. If you want to play the clip, John.
A lot of protection against serious illness and death, but it doesn't protect you against catching the disease, and it doesn't protect you against passing it on. So now is the time to get your booster.
Yeah, so that would have been in direct contradiction to to Twitter's new rules.
They would have to ban Boris Johnson. Also, the CDC, as John was pointing out.
Yeah, are also saying something. So infections happen only in small
portions. Is that
portions.
still there, the vaccine thing?
Yeah, the CDC, everyone has been giving this information. That has been, ever since they brought the vaccine out, the main point of getting it is that it won't stop you from getting it or spreading it, but it will reduce the severity of the symptoms. And Wikipedia is like, no, actually, no, not Wikipedia. Twitter's like, no, actually, you're
Twitter's
wrong.
just making up medical misinformation whilst banning everyone else for medical misinformation.
Including Boris Johnson, potentially.
Is that thing still there, the vaccine? You can't spread it to other people. They noticed yet?
I need to double check.
Oh, it's so funny. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's not a great look for Twitter. But yeah, the media and everything else is still gaslighting us. And if you wonder why some people seem a bit hesitant to go along with all of these measures, it's because from all corners of the media and the governmental bodies and institutions, we're just getting such contradictory information at this point, it's hard to keep up.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go over to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this Epoch series, which Bo and Carl did together, on the life of Napier, who was a chap in the British Army who decided that Lamal bored, so conquered all of southern Pakistan and claimed it for crown and country, which... very based. But anyway, go and check that out, his life and all his achievements. If you'd like to keep up with the stuff we're releasing on the site, you can also follow us on getter.com. That is lotuseaters_com to find us on there. Thank you and goodbye.